I also think this is a better option if you want the quick sale.
Oh, instead of like a Zillow purchase?
A Zillow or an open door.
Yeah.
It's a much better option. This is Byron Lazine and Nicole White, and you are tuned into episode 157 of The Real Word.
Word is up.
All right, I love this episode. I love these topics.
Yeah. I like them because I can actually maybe get a word in edgewise.
Yeah, you're going to be in. You're involved.
I might be involved this time.
Get in the game, kid. All right, first we've got a racket on migration patterns. The 2020 study is out. Then we're going to be talking about our old buddy, Greg Hague, the Stop Zillow guy.
He's what launched us into our stardom.
That was the very first Real Word show. We have an update on our buddy Greg, and then we've got a Marketeer of the week. So back to the old format after the last few episodes, which were kind of one-off episodes as we did the Brad Inman predictions.
Well, we ended the year and started the year.
Yeah, we did all that. Go back, check those out, and make sure if you're on YouTube, you go over to the Real Word channel, as all of our content is shifting over there away from our team page. Make sure you go do that, subscribe, and like. All right, jumping right in, racket number one, the United Airline study. Van Lines. United Van Lines.
As much as we do want to fly and travel, we are not yet.
Flying on the mind. The 44th annual migration study from United Van Lines is out. This is a 2020 migration study.
Can I ask a question though? Yeah. In there, does it mention that it goes right like until December 31st, 2020, or are they calculating this? Do they give you any sort of?
They've been doing it 44 years. I'm going to assume that they've got it figured out.
Wow. Okay.
This is the 44th year. This isn't their first one, so they've done this before.
I didn't doubt that for a hot second.
And we've got the top 10 outbound states. We've got the top 10 inbound states, meaning more people moving in than moving out, and outbound would be the opposite of that. Let's put up the interactive map. We'll link it up. Obviously, if you're on YouTube, go check out the link. You can play around with the map. Go ahead, Nicole.
No, it's okay.
You had a heavy breath there.
I did because I was sort of reading, and I guess I just want to make sure that it really is about more people moving out than in. Because
yes, that's exactly what it is.
Because on the topic, it says more than 250 moves in is what.
You had to have more than 250 moves to qualify. Anything over that was like the qualifying number. If there was less than that amount of moves, they wouldn't count it.
Okay. Good to know.
And you guys can read those specifics in there. But were you surprised at all with the moving in states?
Well, I guess I was a little surprised because obviously what we've been talking about in Connecticut for most of this pandemic is this influx of New York buyers.
Right.
So I was surprised to see that Connecticut actually didn't make it. But
Connecticut made the other top 10 list.
Yeah, we had the most moving out. But again, you and I chatted a little bit about this last week though, because I think that it's important to realize too, because yes, there were a lot of people moving in, but a lot of people actually moving into the state were second home buyers. So
correct.
Were they really legitimately moving in? That's a hard one. So I don't know if they're counting those. And then again, with moving out, I personally, if I was listing a home, these homeowners had already sort of had a second home that they were deciding to stay in permanently.
Right.
And then, so obviously that would make them a permanent move out, even though they'd sort of already been out. So anyway, there is a lot of underlying,
possibly. Well, it doesn't get into that much
detail. No, it
detail.
doesn't.
Those are assumptions, and we made assumptions because when we...
Wild and crazy assumptions.
When we saw the 2020 numbers for our own particular state of Connecticut, and we were like, oh my gosh, record amount of sales.
Finally, we're not in the bottom of the list anymore. I mean, we were kind of celebrating.
The most sales ever happened in 2020 in Connecticut, the most pending sales and the most total closed sales. Okay. So it was like, I was so excited for this study to come out because it's the first piece of data where it's like, we can really look at how the migration pattern of Connecticut, which has gotten beaten up over the last decade for sure.
Yeah.
And what happens? We end up the number 4 state for most move outs. New Jersey, number 1, New York, number 2, Illinois, number 3, and Connecticut 4. California 5,
Ooh,
rounding
we beat
out
California.
the top
Look
5.
at us.
Yeah, look at that. We beat California.
I will
Way to go.
say, moving in though, I was surprised to not see Texas on there, but it sounds like they're pretty flat. As many people leaving as coming in.
They weren't on the top 10 for moving out, and they weren't on the top 10 for moving in.
Yeah.
But to your point, and the assumption that we're making, this study doesn't go into that much detail per particular state,
Right.
but we're assuming here in our state, we had record sales that you're right. And what we experienced like with our team is that a lot of these buyers were buying second homes due to the COVID-19 crisis, right? And so that is a little concerning that people are moving their full-time residency out of Connecticut, for us here, because it's like second homeowners aren't vested. They can just turn that into a rental. They can get out. They're not vested into the community. They're not starting businesses.
That's the biggest and scariest thing, though, is that they're not vested necessarily in their community. So, in the state of Connecticut, you still have, in most towns along in the state, you're still having individuals vote on budgets. There's not a town council that's doing a budget. So you don't want your taxes to go up. So you're saying no to a new school, or you're saying, which inevitably will.
Well, you wouldn't be able to vote on that stuff because you're not a resident of that town. Yeah, second homeowner, you can't vote on that.
I don't think
budgets.
that's true.
That is very true.
I don't think it is.
That's 100%.
I think if you're a taxpayer, you're allowed to vote. We should double check on that.
Well,
if you're a taxpayer,
in the comments, let us know. I don't know.
You can't vote for president if you're a second homeowner and that thing.
That's true.
But if you're paying taxes, you 100% have a say.
Okay, maybe you can. Maybe
yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
I'll.
Maybe we ask the folks.
All right, moving in. Let's do the top 5 there. Idaho, South Carolina, Oregon, and South Dakota and Arizona. So you notice a trend there with 4 of them. They're states that are surrounding California, which is on the top 5 move-outs. To round out that top 10 moving in, you had North Carolina, Tennessee, Alabama, Florida, and Arkansas. The other thing that's interesting, Texas wasn't on this list, but you did have a Brad Inman prediction a couple weeks ago where he talked about the exodus, which is highlighted in the top 5 move-out states, from high-tax states into lower-tax states. Jersey, New York, Illinois, Connecticut, California, all repeatedly on the list for taxing the living crap out of their residents. And what do you see? You see Florida being in the top 10, no income state, no state income tax.
But New Hampshire doesn't make the list. New Hampshire is none.
New Hampshire was flat.
Yep.
You don't see Nevada, which what you would have thought would have made the list. Arizona's in there. You don't see Texas, again, to your point. You do see Tennessee, number 7, no state income tax. Alabama, number 8, cost of living there, much less than some of these other places. So to Brad's prediction, the exodus out of these Northeast, Illinois, California, those 5 states in particular, year in and year out, are getting beat up for people moving out. You can go to howmoneywalks.com. We've talked about that study a whole bunch of times. People just continue, especially the wealth, exiting those 5 states at a ridiculous rate. Massachusetts are also in the top 10 for move-out states.
There's major cities there too. We're talking about Boston. We're talking about Chicago. We're talking about New York. You're talking about, and then New Jersey and Connecticut, obviously the suburbs that are supporting these cities. So it is, again, I think that there is obviously a reoccurring theme. But
check out the link below. There's a pretty cool interactive map. You can click on any state. You can actually go back and see how that compared to 2019.
Oh, you can go all the way back to what was that, 1983?
You can go back on the website to 1977.
Wow. That would be an interesting little shtick.
That is very interesting. But you can go there and check out your particular state. And it breaks it down, too. The primary reasons for moving.
Yep.
Okay, why they were coming in, retirement, health, family, lifestyle, job, or why they were moving out, the age ranges, and the income. So you can really some
major inbound for Connecticut was...
That was 2019. So 2020, the outbound retirement was the leader.
Makes sense.
31% retiring and bouncing out. A lot of people, if you're on a state pension in Connecticut and you move to Florida, you get an automatic 7% raise. Well, and Connecticut's still paying you.
Well, even if you get I think even if you move up to Massachusetts too, move right over the border.
All right,
you have to pay on that.
Anyways, that's Racket number 1. Go check that out. United Van Line's 44th annual migration study. Racket number 2, so excited about this one. Greg Hague, our old buddy, the Stop Zillow guy. You can go back to episode number one of The Real Word.
And two.
And two.
I feel like there were a few episodes.
We were talking about when he had the big Stop Zillow push. We ended up getting on a Facebook Live debate with Greg. We flew out to his launch of the Stop Zillow
he welcomed
movement.
us into his home. It was beautiful.
Yeah, it was very beautiful, Greg. Thank you for that.
Yes.
And that was really the start of The Real Word. Anyways, his
He's
Stop
back.
Zillow movement.
Or actually, I feel like he's been. We just haven't heard anything.
No, he's always been there. He's a very, very successful real estate guy in Arizona.
He definitely weaves, man. I mean,
yeah.
Bless his heart. And he loves being on video, which is even better.
He's super successful guy. Again, beautiful home. Scottsdale, Arizona. He's always had a thriving brokerage. And the Stop Zillow movement, which he collected a whole bunch of donations for, by the way,
money.
Went into this company called Buyer Hunt. BuyerHunt.com is still up. We checked that out today.
We did. We kind of got a little euphoric because
Yeah.
the commercial was still on there that he launched that night.
But that's not the reason we're talking about Greg. That's not why he's back in our news. Got an email from our buddy JD, follower of the show. JD is also out there in Arizona. JD sent us an email and said, hey, you guys should be talking about your old buddy Greg, the Zillow Buster, and his new company. He has a new pitch called 72sold.com. I thought maybe Buyer Hunt turned into 72
No,
Sold.
but he was smart because he
Looks
kept
like two
Buyer
different
Hunt. He
companies.
pushed some money into that, but I think the Buyer Hunt
yep.
and the 72 Sold are very much married together at this point.
He's on a whole bunch of TVs. He's been on Fox, NBC, Yahoo Finance, Forbes, Business Wire, U.S. News, ABC, CBS, 472
He should add
Sold.
the Real Word on there too.
Now he could add the Real Word next to all of those. There you go. All right, so this is what JD sent us in email. They're using coming soon, which is what Buyer Hunt basically was.
That was exactly what it was.
Was glorified coming soon, to list a home for 72 hours before they allow showings. I'm wondering why Buyer Hunt is still branded and now 72 Sold. Is it because Buyer Hunt lost a bunch of money and now he learned from that?
But Buyer Hunt was based more on getting a buyer lead. He's now working on seller leads.
No, Buyer Hunt was buyers seeing these coming soon properties before they hit the MLS because they were missing out on it.
But they were definitely marketing it towards buyers. He wanted to get,
It was an advantage for buyers to see properties before they sold out from underneath them.
So he was putting listings on.
You were seeing things come on to Zillow 24 hours for 72 hours after they hit the MLS. Properties already sold. Buyer drives by, like, what the heck? I saw it on Zillow.
So you're putting it on Buyer Hunt before you put it on. I think it's just the name. I mean, I think he's selling.
So, anyways,
72 Sold
that,
certainly
I'm wondering if he's just kind of like
more catchy.
Moving over here, learning from past mistakes, and now he's got
the job.
This company. Anyways, JD had a client that wanted to see one of the 72 sold listings. It was a $400,000 listing in Arizona. They put it up for 72 hours, and they had an open house for 1 hour. A 1 hour open house. JD and his buyer showed up in the second half, and they were the 23rd group through the property. The street was lined with cars, 7 to 8 groups of buyers and their agent huddling outside talking about the home. So think about how ecstatic you are if you're the seller, right? Are you not happy with that kind of performance?
I'm thrilled.
He thought it was brilliant. JD thought it was brilliant. You bring all these buyers in, you see how much competition they have. Mm-hmm. But the buyers were left feeling like...
His buyers.
Yep. His particular buyers. So there's 23 plus buyers, right?
Well, he was at the second half, so double that.
And the buyers were left feeling like there was no shot at winning out in their particular financing situation. Mm-hmm. And so JD started to think, is this approach good or bad? Does it drive up the price or does it discourage other buyers from even making an offer? He's curious what our take on this approach is. Nicole, what's your take? Is it good, bad, driving up the price? If you go on the website, the first thing they ask you for is get a price on your home today. So the process here with 72 sold is they're giving you the price of what you've got to list at. You don't have to do any showings. They're saying right here on the website, the advantage here is it's a short commitment. You have to sign a long, lengthy listing agreement. No one-off showings. So you're not inconvenienced by a bunch of showings at random times. It's a specific price, and you eliminate uncertainty because of that short period of time. You are going to sell the home for a specific price or more in a short period of time, but all the buttons here, get a price on the home, get a price on the home. So they send you a price on the home. That's the price, which is going to be lower, by the way. It's the old school mentality.
They call it schwepping.
What is that? Schwepping.
Schweppy.
No.
Yes, we've been over this term before.
Oh, have we?
They call it schwepping. You schwepp it, like you underlist it to drive up the price. It's called schwepping.
Well, I would say it's just old school classic way of listing a home, right? Basically, you give a seller 3 prices. Hey, do you want to list in the middle at market value, or do you want to overprice your listing and get a very small segment of buyers actually seeing your home, or do you want to list it under market value, expose it to every single buyer possible, expose it to other price ranges that you wouldn't have had at market value or above market value, get a potential for a bidding war, and drive the price up. They're listing it under market value, getting tons and tons and tons of buyers through a 1-hour open house, creating a feeding frenzy, and then a bidding war to bid the price up.
Right.
So is it good or bad?
I think it's great.
You love it.
I think it's fabulous. Why not?
Why do you love it, Nicole?
Well, I mean, I guess my biggest concern here is if I was bringing a buyer, though, is that if it never really got to the price that the seller wanted, I mean, maybe I'm assuming that the seller probably doesn't even really have to end up selling in the end either, right?
Doesn't say that online, but I'm assuming when they say specific price that if you don't hit your number, then you can bounce out.
Right. It's sort of
you
like
can always turn down deals.
Of course. It's sort of like that, like auctioning a house, right? If you don't get to a number, you don't get it. But anyway,
it's a better way of auctioning.
I think it's great. I mean, I'll be honest though, I don't know that, again, if I'm a consumer, this is happening right now pretty much across the country. So I don't know that you need greg72soul.com in order to accomplish what he's presenting here. Well, you think you do?
I don't think you need it in particular, but he has a strategy and a duplicatable formula to getting these homes sold in 72 hours. Now, could you, as an agent in wherever, Pennsylvania, could you just come up with the same formula and execute on it? Absolutely.
Yes.
But to Greg's credit here, he's been on all these news outlets. What a great branding and advertising
because he has lines and
people
people are talking about it. I mean, we're getting emails from JD. Obviously, buyers are concerned about it. Buyers are feeling like they're being left out. I will say, I think for the seller, this is a great thing. And in JD's situation, his VA buyer was concerned. So I mean, again, is it sort of wiping out some certain buyers? Yes, but I guess for the seller, like, hell, if I can get a cash buyer over list price that doesn't want any inspections, dude, I did exactly what I was supposed to do for my seller, 100%.
And that's where that finance buyer probably thought to themselves,
right,
look at all these people, look at all the competition. You gotta imagine.
And as a VA buyer, you're probably 100% financing. You thought it was all up against you. I do think in that situation, I still would have put something in. If I was JD, I probably would have told them to write a little note, tell them their story, pull at the heartstring a little, get them to really sort of engage with the story.
I was never a believer in the letters, but I have seen just so many sellers now want to read the letter, make decisions based off the letter. The buyer letter is a real thing.
It is especially in this market. I think that, we're seeing a lot of people living in the homes that we're seeing come on the market right now I feel personally are homes that have been in the family for a while. And they're now finally selling because they feel like they're finally able to get what they can more than what, right. Yeah. So I do think that there's an emotional attachment there now to sellers. Obviously, I think that they do want the most money, but I think if the numbers are so close and there's a little story attached to it, I mean, gosh, it just, there's so much more vested in it too. And you feel like you're making a decision, not just based on greed, but, based on like real people too.
It's a huge advantage for the seller. I also think this is a better option if you want the quick sale.
Oh, instead of like a Zillow purchase?
A Zillow or an open door.
Yeah.
It's a much better option than selling potentially below market value. This is your highest chance at getting above market value in a very short and certain period of time. Maybe we'll be hitting up our old buddy Greg and seeing if we can bring 72 sold out here to Connecticut.
Holla.
You know?
That'll be fun. We're coming for you, Greg.
Greg, hit us up.
We miss you.
We want to come back too.
We do.
We miss Arizona.
We do. And your beautiful wife and your children. I remember meeting his son in his kitchen.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, Greg, props to you. I don't think it's a racket at all, and clearly he's getting a lot of recognition for it and certainly driving a lot of buyers through his seller's home. So good job, Greg.
Yeah.
All right, Marketeer. We're back with a Marketeer of the Week. This is an Inman article, and it's a compilation of all of the 2021 real estate events, virtual and in person. It's a comprehensive list of that.
I love
year
it.
has
Because then
been-
you just sort of know, you know? I like it.
Past year has been particularly strange for events as the coronavirus pandemic broke out in the U.S. in March. Months of real estate conferences and minglers. Minglers.
You're not. Are you?
I've never been to a mingler.
Are you? No, but are you a mingler? Like I think it's talking about people that like to mingle.
No, it's a conference and minglers.
Are you a
minglers were
mingler?
scraped with little news on when or if they would be held.
You don't like
again.
to mingle. I like to mingle.
Oh, a mingler is. But anyways, I definitely did a lot of conferences. Sam, we've been to a few conferences on the West Coast every single year and all over the place. Drivable ones here on the East Coast.
I went to the West Coast.
You went, yeah, you did. Sam's been to the West Coast more with me, though, I feel like, than you.
I didn't get nearly
You went
sunburn
once.
as
You went
Sam.
one time.
No, yeah, you're right. It was once.
You went once. Sam's been what? I don't know. Lots of times.
Well, twice.
Yeah, more than twice.
Well, whatever. I would have gone this year.
Maybe. She says that now because everything got canceled. I would have went. I would have went to everything in 2020. That was my year. Are you kidding me?
Well, I have responsibilities
So
at home too.
what's interesting? They've got all 12 months here listed out. Over 100 events in January, February, March. These are all virtual. Then you start getting into April, and there's a couple there's one in Georgia here. There's one in Orlando, Florida.
Yeah, Remax.
Where you start to see in-person and virtual.
I love that people are trying to be optimistic and positive. It makes my heart happy.
Absolutely. You get to May, the T3 Summit, which I go to every year. Swanepoel T3 Summit, Naples, Florida. One of the greatest places ever in the history of the world.
Wow.
Is in May, and that's right now scheduled to be in person. I'm looking very much forward to that.
Buffini's happening still
in Arizona.
Inman. Yep, love it.
You got a DC one in May that is National Association of Realtors. That's
Let us know which
in-person.
ones you're going to go to because maybe we'll piggyback them. We'll go.
There's one in
Love it.
Nashville in July. Never heard of it, but it's the Real World.
Real World.
2021.
I mean,
Real World. You should be reaching out to us, the Real Word, to speak
seriously, at the Real World.
in Nashville. I'd love to speak there. Go down to August, and hopefully this stays.
You would speak anywhere though. You enjoy hearing
not anywhere,
yourself.
but almost anywhere.
Well,
I would definitely
you would.
and plan to. Tom Ferry hit me up. Plan to speak again. I've spoken there before.
Oh yeah, you're planning to speak again.
I am at the Tom Ferry Success Summit 2021 in Anaheim, California. Love to go to a little SoCal in August, so hopefully that is still on the books. Right now it is, according to this list.
You could hit up the Soho House again.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening again.
See Penn, Sean Penn,
yeah,
your buddy Sean Penn.
I don't think we're getting back in there. We snuck in there the first time, and I don't think it's going to happen again.
And then maybe we just buy a membership this time.
Huge list, over 100 events. Have
Go
you done a virtual event in 2020?
I can't say that I have.
No.
I can't say that I have.
What I don't
I'm
like
not a
about
good listener when it comes to that kind of platform.
What I don't like about the virtual events, a couple things. One, you're in your home environment, your office, your home base, and it's during the middle of a weekday, and it's virtual event after virtual event, where it's just when you're out of location, it's a lot easier to say, I'm going to the conference room, I'm forwarding my calls, my emails, whatever. I'm locking down, I'm learning, I'm collaborating.
Well, I think the
networking.
collaboration is the most important part, though, too, because the amount of people that you meet, that you can network with. I mean, but that's also the importance of being in physically being in work too.
It's very impossible to lock down, put all your focus on these virtual events. What virtual events I do like that are working is where they go on demand, where you can consume that later on that night in the gym. The on demand stuff.
So more of
works
like
for me.
a podcast.
Yeah, more like just turning it into
podcast. Yeah,
YouTube podcast content on demand. Maybe it's a course, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Totally cool with that. But these live where you can only get the virtual event live in the middle of your workday on a Tuesday when you're in your workplace environment, they're just not working for me. I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm looking very much forward to getting back to real live events. And
I agree.
hopefully we get to go to some of these. We're definitely on the books for TF Summit Anaheim. I'll be speaking there. TF hasn't texted me about it yet, but
I feel like now, I feel like that you know what, Tom, don't now.
I don't think they know for sure if they're having it. That's the problem.
Maybe I'll speak.
We'll link that up though. You can go check that out and certainly see what events maybe you're interested in 2021. Back to the old format. I'm loving it. Go over to the YouTube channel, The Real Word. Make sure you subscribe there. If you're not subscribed, all the content on our Winning Company team page is going away. Not the old content, but the new content. All right? You good?
I'm great.
That's it.
That's it.
Keep it real, guys. Thank you.
See ya.